Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India NewsHour, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour, Russia's President Vladimir Putin extends support to India's fight against terrorism, tells Prime Minister Narendra Modi that perpetrators of Pahalgam attack and their supporters must be punished. India blocks the flow of water from the Chenab River to Pakistan. A Moodys report says that an economically weaker Pakistan cannot afford a war with India. Japan backs India's fight against terrorism too. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh hosts his Japanese counterpart in New Delhi, discusses about bilateral collaboration. Israel plans to capture the entire Gaza Strip and remain in the Palestinian territory for an unspecified period. Army calls up thousands of reserve soldiers. And Germany's parties sign coalition deal. New government to be sworn in on Tuesday with Friedrich Merz as the chancellor. Russia's President Vladimir Putin dialed Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday and condemned the Pahalgam terror attack. India's Ministry of External Affairs said that President Putin called Prime Minister Narendra Modi. President Putin condemned the terror attack in Pahalgam. The Russian president condoled the loss of innocent lives in the attack. He expressed full support to India in the fight against terrorism. He also emphasized that the perpetrators of the attack and their supporters must be brought to justice. Putin and Modi reiterated their commitment to further deepen the India-Russia special and privileged strategic partnership. Prime Minister Modi greeted President Putin on the 80th anniversary of the Victory Day celebrations, and Prime Minister Modi invited President Putin for an annual summit to be held in India later this year. Now, India has temporarily halted the flow of water from the Baghlihar Dam on the Chenab River to Pakistan. New Delhi plans to also halt the flow of water from the Kishanganga Dam on the Jhelum River. The latest Indian countermeasure for the Pahalgam terror attack coincides with the publication of a Moody's ratings report which says Pakistan cannot afford a war with India given its dire economic situation.
India has cut the flow of water from the Chenab River to Pakistan. The gates of the Salal Dam, built in Baghlihar and Riyasi in Jammu, have been closed. It follows New Delhi's decision to keep the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance in the wake of the 22nd April Pahalgam terror attack. According to reports, the Indian government is also planning to close the Kishanganga Dam on the Jhelum River. The flow of water in the Chenab River has since drastically reduced. The latest Indian countermeasure coincides with a Moody's report that says Pakistan does not have the money for a war with India. The global ratings firm says that a persistent increase in tensions could also impair Pakistan's access to external financing and pressure its foreign exchange reserves, which remain well below what is required to meet its external debt payment needs for the next few years. In contrast, Moodys says that India's macroeconomic conditions would be stable, bolstered by moderating but still high levels of growth and strong public investment and healthy private consumption. Meanwhile, Pakistan hosted Iran's foreign minister on Monday. An Iranian diplomat was reported as saying that the India-Pakistan tensions would be on the agenda of Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi's talks in Islamabad. Araghchi is expected to visit New Delhi later this week. Bureau Report, DD India.
While Pakistan is flexing its muscles, testing missiles and making tall claims of war preparedness, the reality is otherwise. India's retaliatory steps in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack have threatened the backbone of a limping Pakistani economy. Ban on Pakistani ships, imports and postal services have all dealt a big blow to Pakistan's economy, which is already in shambles. In the next report, DD India's Raghav Kumar Jha delves deeper into Pakistan's economic crisis and tells you why Pakistan cannot afford a war with India.
Struggling with a wrecked economy, Pakistan faces significant challenges like rising poverty, high inflation, and persistent debt issues. The country's economy has been badly impacted by factors like the COVID-19 pandemic, inflation, poor economic development, corruption, political unrest, and the effects of Russia-Ukraine war. According to reports, Pakistan has foreign exchange reserves of only $13.15 billion, whereas it has to pay foreign debts of $26 billion in the financial year 2025-26. Pakistan's GDP is at $338.37 billion and it has only enough money to import goods for 2 months. In fact, Pakistan's economy is in shambles. A persistently high current account deficit and external debt obligations drained its foreign exchange reserves. By 2023, the country faced a severe balance of payment crisis, with reserves falling below $4 billion, enough for just a few weeks of imports. Pakistan is heavily reliant on external aid, particularly from the United States, China, and the international financial institutions like the International Monetary Fund or IMF. Pakistan's exports base remained narrow while imports grew consistently. Periodic IMF bailouts, more than 20 programs since 1980s, became a hallmark of Pakistan's economic policy. Each bailout brought temporary stability, but structural reforms were either delayed or diluted due to corruption. However, this is not the end of Pakistan's economic woes. The tougher times are ahead as India's retaliatory steps in the aftermath of Pahalgam terror attack threaten to break its crucial economic support links. India has imposed a blanket ban on direct or indirect import and transit of all goods originating in or exported from Pakistan following the closure of the Wagah-Atari trade route. The halt is likely to disrupt Pakistan's pharmaceutical, chemical, and food sectors, which depend heavily on Indian inputs. Informal trade via third countries like the UAE and Singapore will also come under strain due to heightened security and costs. India has barred all ships bearing the Pakistani flag from entering Indian ports and has suspended all maritime activities. Also, all postal and courier services in Pakistan stand suspended. Against this backdrop, the global rating agency Moodys has also warned Pakistan. The rating agency said on Monday that a sustained escalation in tensions with India would likely hit Pakistan's economy and hamper the government's ongoing fiscal consolidation. It warned the Indo-Pak tensions could impair Pakistan's access to external financing and put foreign exchange reserves, which is significantly low to meet existing debts, under severe stress. Amidst an economic crisis ridden by low reserves and high debts, Pakistan is running the country taking loans from the IMF. On May 9th, a crucial meeting of the IMF will be held regarding the next tranche of loan disbursal to Pakistan. According to reports, there are multiple factors including corruption and allegations of state-sponsored terrorism which may spoil Pakistan's loan prospect, in which case it will be another blow to the debt-ridden Pakistan. Against this backdrop, if Pakistan wages war with India, it will have to spend an estimated $1.5 to $3.2 million per day or $45 to $96 million per month, putting considerable pressure on Pakistan's defense budget of $7.64 billion. Amidst all this, how Pakistan will handle all this extraordinary stress on its economy is a million-dollar question. Raghav Kumar Jha for DD India.
India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar met Japan's Speaker Fukushiro Nukaga in New Delhi on Monday. The Speaker was accompanied by Japanese lawmakers and business persons. Minister Jaishankar thanked his guest for his expression of solidarity and support to India on the Pahalgam terrorist attack. Minister Jaishankar appreciated the Japanese speaker's leadership in developing the natural relationship between India and Japan. They agreed to promote exchange of talents, enhance business linkages, and build technology partnerships between the two nations. Japan has said that it backs India's fight against terrorism. The Indian and Japanese defense ministers met in New Delhi on Monday. The Japanese minister's visit will impart momentum to India-Japan defense ties and their shared commitment to securing a stable and prosperous Indo-Pacific region.
In a bid to further enhance bilateral defense cooperation, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh met his Japanese counterpart, General Nakatani, in New Delhi. This marks their second meeting within 6 months, underscoring the growing ties between the two nations. The discussions focused on regional security concerns, counter-terrorism efforts, and ways to deepen defense collaboration. Both India and Japan condemned terrorism in all forms and emphasized the need for increased joint efforts to combat cross-border threats. General Nakatani expressed Japan's solidarity with India following the Pahalgam terror attack, offering full support.
At the outset, I would like to thank the government of Japan for their strong expression of solidarity with India in the wake of the Pahalgam terrorist attack.
The defense relationship between India and Japan has gained significant momentum since the elevation of their ties to a special strategic and global partnership in 2014.
Excellency, I take this opportunity to compliment you for your immense contribution in deepening of the Indo-Japan defense relations. You had earlier laid foundations for a strong bilateral defense partnership by concluding defense equipment and technical cooperation agreement and the protection of classified military information agreement.
Let's now tell you key agreements and developments as we navigate the India-Japan defense ties in its entirety. In 2016, Agreement on Civil Nuclear Cooperation. In 2024, Memorandum of Implementation for the Co-Development of Unicorn Masts for the Indian Navy. Multiple defense agreements and joint exercises such as Malabar, Jimex, and Veer Guardian continue to enhance military interoperability. In the field of defense industrial cooperation, India and Japan are strengthening defense manufacturing capabilities through co-production and technology sharing agreements, with a particular focus on advanced military equipment. In the realm of Indo-Pacific stability, both countries remain aligned in their commitment to a free, open, and peaceful Indo-Pacific. Their partnership is critical in countering regional challenges, particularly the growing security concerns in the South and East China Seas. This visit of Japanese Defense Minister to India underscores the deepening trust between India and Japan and highlights their shared commitment to securing a stable and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. Bureau Report, DD India.
Still to come on DD India NewsHour. France's president called the United States' science policy under Trump a diktat. And celebrations begin in London for the 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War in Europe.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked, we just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome to Jaipur.
स्वागत आहे टू मॅग्नेटिक महाराष्ट्र.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman met ADB's President Masato Kanda during the 58th ADB annual meeting in Milan, Italy. Minister Sitharaman said that India focused on private sector-led economic growth and had been consistently creating a conducive policy and regulatory ecosystem through bold initiatives such as the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, corporate tax reduction, GST implementation, production-linked incentives, national infrastructure pipeline, Gati Shakti National Master Plan and Startup India, among others. Kanda expressed ADB's full support to India's development priorities, guided by Prime Minister Modi's vision of making India a developed country by 2047. Leaders of Germany's conservative CDU and CSU, as well as centre-left Social Democratic Party, on Monday signed a coalition agreement on the eve of launching the new government. This latest development in Germany paved the way for the formation of a new federal government. Germany's designated Chancellor Friedrich Merz is set to be sworn in as the new leader of Europe's biggest economy and ending half a year of political paralysis in Berlin. The CDU-CSU alliance of Merz and their future junior partners, the Social Democrats, vowed to revive the ailing economy and rebuild the military. Lars Klingbeil from the Social Democratic Party of Germany is appointed as the upcoming Vice-Chancellor and Finance Minister, while Boris Pistorius from the SPD is set to remain as the Defense Minister.
Den Bürgerinnen und Bürgern heute von dieser Stelle aus sagen.
I would like to take this opportunity to say to the citizens today that if I am elected tomorrow and the cabinet members are subsequently confirmed, you will have a government that is determined to move Germany forward with reforms and investments, a government that will take the concerns of the people in our country seriously.
Eine Regierung, die
Meanwhile, the Farright Alternative for Germany, or the AfD, has filed a lawsuit against Germany's domestic intelligence agency's decision to label the party as an extremist group. The domestic intelligence agency's move, announced on Friday, allows for enhanced surveillance of the party, the largest opposition party in Germany's parliament. This new classification could pave the way for German lawmakers to limit or even block public funding for the party. In response, the AfD has condemned the decision, calling it a politically driven attempt to undermine and criminalize the party. And Russia's response adds another layer to the controversy, positioning the move within a broader narrative of Europe being overly restrictive towards political forces that don't align with the mainstream. And France's President Emmanuel Macron took aim at Donald Trump's policies on science on Monday and called U.S. science policy an error. During a speech at the Choose Europe for Science conference, President Macron denounced any diktat consisting of any government being able to say that you cannot research this or that.
Et donc oui, chérissons la science.
Let us cherish free and open science, which lies at the heart of our societies, and refuse a diktat consisting of any government being able to say, you cannot research this or that it could be forbidden to research women's health or cyclones or the climate, because each time lives are at stake, and each time it is the very progress of our humanity that is being called into question.
To boost European science research, European Commission's President Ursula von der Leyen announced on Monday a €500 million incentive package as Europe hopes to lure top US scientists disgruntled with President Donald Trump. Speaking at the Choose Europe for Science conference in Paris, Ursula von der Leyen said the €500 million package aims to make Europe a magnet for researchers. She said she wanted EU member states to invest 3% of gross domestic product in research and development by 2030. The announcement comes at a time when Trump's administration is threatening to cut federal funding for Harvard and other US universities.
Science is an investment, and we need to offer the right incentives. This is why I can announce that we will put forward a new €500 million package for 2025 to 2027 to make Europe a magnet for researchers. This will help support the best and the brightest researchers and scientists from Europe and around the world. We aim to create a new 7-year super grant under the European Research Council, ERC, to help offer a longer-term perspective to the very best. Through the ERC, we are already supporting researchers who relocate to Europe with a top-up beyond their grant. We are now doubling the amount they can receive this year, and I want to extend this support for 2026 and 2027.
Israel's Security Cabinet has approved the expansion of military operations in Gaza, triggering the call-up of tens of thousands of reserve soldiers. Israeli officials say that it's aimed at increasing the pressure on Hamas to release the hostages while also targeting terrorist infrastructure. DD India's Rahul Upadhyay brings us more.
Israel's Security Cabinet has approved the expansion of military operations in Gaza. Following the decision, Israel is calling up tens of thousands of reservists to expand offensive in Gaza.
Israel is issuing tens of thousands of call-up orders to reservists in order to strengthen and expand our operations in Gaza. Not to occupy, but to expand the military operation. Why? To increase the pressure on Hamas to release our hostages. In additional areas, Israel will destroy all terrorist infrastructure.
Reacting to the decision, Israeli opposition leader Yair Lapid said that return of the hostages is the most urgent goal.
The cabinet approved the expansion of the operation in the Gaza Strip last night. No one yet know the actual war plan is or what the war conquest of the Strip really mean. But there is one thing we do know, this war is costing a great deal of money. The question is, who is paying for it?
The plan aims at bringing home the remaining Israeli hostages and delivering a decisive blow to Hamas. However, following the announcement, families urged ceasefire, with many saying that continuation of the war will not bring the hostages back.
We are all under the understanding that the continuation of the war will not bring the hostages back. The problem is that on the other side of the fence, there is a terrorist organization. And what I would like to see more than anything else is all the mediators pressing Hamas as hard as they can to the realization that they can no longer be a part of the future of this region in the day after.
Meanwhile, in response to Israel's expansion, Yemen's Houthi rebels announced that they would impose a comprehensive aerial blockade on Israel. Reacting to the latest threats, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed retaliation against Iran after the Tehran-backed Houthi militia launched a missile that landed near Israel's main airport. Rahul Upadhyay's report for DD India.
In another update, Iran has unveiled a new solid-fuel ballistic missile, terming it Iran's latest defense achievement. Iran's state TV reported that the solid-propellant Qasem Basir ballistic missile has a range of at least 1,200 kilometers. The new missile was shown after Tehran and Washington, D.C. held Oman-mediated talks on Iran's nuclear program on 3 consecutive Saturdays from 12 April. Iran has ruled out discussions with Washington, D.C. on its military and defense capabilities, including its ballistic missile program. U.S. President Donald Trump confirmed on Sunday that he had offered to send U.S. troops to Mexico to assist in combating drug trafficking. The offer was made to Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum, who said she had declined the proposal. Trump explained that the offer stemmed from the severe impact of drug cartels, which have been responsible for thousands of deaths. Speaking about Air Force One, he emphasized that the U.S. would have been honored to help if Mexico had requested assistance in tackling the cartels. While Sheinbaum rejected the idea, citing Mexico's sovereignty, the offer reflects growing concerns over the rising influence of cartels in both countries. As violence related to drug trafficking continues to escalate, discussions on international cooperation remain a contentious issue. U.S. President Donald Trump is taking his trade war now to the big screen. He says the U.S. movie industry is dying a very fast death after Australia, New Zealand, Canada and the U.K. begin offering generous tax breaks for film production. DD India's Tripti Tripathi has more.
President Donald Trump has fired a new salvo in his trade war, this time targeting the silver screen. He now plans to slap a 100% tariff on foreign-made films, claiming America's movie industry is dying a very fast death. All thanks to other countries offering attractive incentives to filmmakers. On Truth Social, Trump went further, calling those incentives a national security threat.
Other nations, a lot of them, have stolen our movie industry, and I'm saying if they're not willing to make a movie inside the United States, then we should have a tariff on movies that come in. And not only that, governments are actually giving big money. I mean, they're supporting them financially. So that's sort of a threat to our country in a sense, and it's been a very popular thing. I can tell you one thing, movie makers love it.
The American film industry has been facing a bumpy ride for long now. In 2023 alone, nearly half of big-budget US productions were shot outside the US. Hollywood's hometown, Los Angeles, has seen a 40% drop in film and TV production over the past decade. America still spent a massive $14.54 billion on production last year, but that's just 26% less than in 2022. The US box office once ranked $12 billion in 2018. That figure crashed to just over $2 billion in 2020 during the pandemic. Meanwhile, Australia, New Zealand, Canada and the UK have become new havens for movie production with generous tax breaks. The question now is, will a 100% tariff help or hurt Hollywood? Trump says it will push studios to stay home, boosting US production. But studios argue shooting in America is just too expensive, and that means higher production costs, translating to rise in ticket prices, with public having to pay more at theatres. Leaders in Australia, New Zealand have responded quickly, pledging to defend their film industries. The British Media and Entertainment Union called for urgent action to protect their vital creative sector. But there is a catch. How do you even tariff a movie? Movies aren't physical goods. They are intellectual property. They don't pass through ports like electronics or textiles. The Trump team would have to define how to value a film and set a threshold to call it an import. A bold move, but for now, it raises more questions than it answers. Will this tariff spark a Hollywood revival or just make your movie night more expensive? Prasar Bharati for DD India.
Still to come on DD India NewsHour. A discussion on India's countermeasures against Pakistan following the Pahalgam terror attack. And Ministry of Home Affairs tells states to perform a mock drill on the 7th of May.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome to Jaipur.
I'm on a quest to explore the history of Goa. A land steeped in diverse and intersecting cultures and traditions.
I think this is one of my favorite pieces of art in the city.
Here, influences from multiple faiths coalesce in beautiful ways.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Going back to the top story, India blocks the flow of water from the Chenab River to Pakistan, and a Moodys report says an economically weaker Pakistan cannot afford a war with India. Joining us are Ambassador Prabhu Dayal and Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni. Ambassador Dayal is a former Indian ambassador to Morocco and Kuwait. He also served as an Consul General in Karachi, Pakistan. And General Kulkarni is a former Director General Infantry of the Indian Army. He was decorated with the Shaurya Chakra for his role in Operation Meghdoot in 1983 and 84 when he unfurled the Indian national flag at Bilafon La Pass on the Siachen Glacier. Gentlemen, welcome to DD India NewsHour. Ambassador Dayal, to you first. First, India suspends the Indus Waters Treaty. Then, it cuts the flow of water from the Chenab River. Next, it plans to do the same with the Jhelum River. Is the noose tightening on Pakistan? Will it hurt Pakistan when it hurts the most?
Well, Ramesh, first of all, thanks for having me on your show.
Welcome.
You're absolutely right in saying that the noose is tightening around Pakistan's neck. Pakistan depends hugely on the Indus River and its tributaries. And if India is able to stop the flow of the waters of these rivers, Pakistan will suffer hugely because the agriculture in that country, the generation of hydroelectric power, both these are hugely dependent on the waters of the Indus River, the Jhelum Chenab. Now, the point is that Pakistan knows that it is in a very difficult position. As it is, its economy is tottering. And if India blocks the Indus River waters and the waters of its tributaries, Pakistan is going to collapse. And that is why their government has said that by announcing that India will hold the Indus River Waters Treaty in abeyance, India is saying something which is an act of war. They've called it an act of war because it is going to hurt Pakistan in a really big way. Now, let me say that Prime Minister Modi had categorically said that India will identify, trace and punish every terrorist and their backers. And he means it. The backers are the Pakistani establishment, particularly the army and the ISI. And they're already in a very difficult situation because they are fighting insurgencies in Balochistan and in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So if the economy of Pakistan is further hit by our stopping the rivers which flow into Pakistan from India, then they will suffer hugely, and they know it. And that is why they are making a lot of noises. They are trying to say that India is going to attack them. And Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif of Pakistan, in a telephone call with the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, said that the US should try and restrain India, etc., etc. The fact is, they are facing a very difficult situation. Their population is already up in arms against the government because it sees the government as being, first of all, a usurper. The Shehbaz Sharif government was installed by the Pakistan army, and there are many in Pakistan who support the Imran Khan's party and who feel that this is a usurper government and that the government should have been run by the party which actually had the largest number of seats. So there is a lot that is happening within Pakistan internally, and the stopping of the Indus River water will hit Pakistan in a very, very severe.
Indeed. General Kulkarni, a report by global ratings agency Moodys says Pakistan cannot afford a war with India. Now, what does that tell you about Pakistan's military preparedness and its ability to withstand Indian countermeasures? Do you think the state of the Pakistani economy would be one of the factors New Delhi will keep in mind when it decides on the nature and scope of its retaliation?
Absolutely, Ramesh. Pakistan's on the back foot. The previous chief, General Bajwa, said that they don't have even adequate money to have diesel in their tanks That was the state of affairs. They just can't even that Hashim Sethi has said so many times that Pakistan cannot afford a war beyond 5 days. That's it. They are really pathetic state of economically, militarily, because the military is also involved in fighting the Baluchis, the Pashtuns in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. There's so much involvement in the Sindh. There's so much of resentment against the Punjabis. So Pakistan is on a multiple front, totally surrounded, and here it intends to take on India. Impossible. Pakistan cannot stand a war. Not even conventional, neither either way. Even, it's not going to be conventional the way one generally thinks about it, but Pakistan cannot stand a war, and Pakistan's in the back foot, and Pakistan going around the world wanting to tell even this Secretary of the UN primarily that please request India to talk and de-escalate the situation. Well, the barbaric and the terrorist act of Pakistan has to be punished.
Right, gentlemen, do stay on. I have some news that's just coming in. In the wake of the Pahalgam attack, we are told several international airlines are now avoiding Pakistani airspace. Among major airlines avoiding the Pakistani airspace over Pakistan are Air France, British Airways, the UAE's Emirates and Germany's Lufthansa. This is news just coming in. In the wake of the 22nd April Pahalgam attack, many international airlines are now avoiding the Pakistani airspace. Among them are Air France, British Airways, Emirates and Germany's Lufthansa. And while we are on this news, Ambassador Dayal, would you like to come in and share your thoughts on the import of this news just coming in?
Well, certainly these international airlines are avoiding the Pakistani airspace because they fear that a war might be on the horizon. The outbreak of war might take place pretty soon. And they do not want to have their planes flying over Pakistan in such a situation. Now, there is a lot that the Pakistanis themselves have done to promote the narrative of the outbreak of war being very likely. Their leaders have been shouting from the rooftops that India is going to attack them.
Right.
Now, whether India attacks them or not is not my decision. I have complete confidence in our Prime Minister. He has said that he will identify, trace and punish every terrorist and their backers. And I'm sure that he will do so in a manner that is effective and enduring. He will use geopolitics. He will stifle the Pakistani economy. If necessary, he will authorize a war against Pakistan. I trust the Prime Minister's wisdom and his intellect and his capacity to take the best decisions in India's interest.
Indeed, and taken off from the point where Ambassador Dayal left, General Kulkarni, 2 weeks on from the Pahalgam attack, where does India's initiative lie insofar as a kinetic response is concerned? Could you give us a peek into the Indian government's mind or thinking when it comes to options, potential targets and possibly timing?
See, Ramesh, we have multiple options and multi-front attack has to be launched at the source of terror, and that is Pakistan. And that multiple options that we have, both kinetic, non-kinetic, diplomatic, political, and we've also seen the Indus Water Treaty, even though non-kinetic, is going to turn out catastrophic for Pakistan. So when you see all of it, and even before, probably, I personally feel, probably Pakistan just might throw the towel and say that enough is enough, we will not do it, and all those crocodile tears will start flowing with a view to prevent the total annihilation of Pakistan. So Pakistan knows very well whether it is on the naval front, whether it is on the air front, or whether it is going to be a ground war. Pakistan is on the back foot. It cannot last for more than 4 to 5 days. And if that be so, right now, even preparing for it, the fear that India might retaliate in itself is adequate to virtually bring in a Pakistani economic collapse. Even like what you're just talking about, the foreign airlines not wanting to fly over using the Pakistan airspace, or even want to not to even touch down in Pakistan, is adequate to convey to the world that Pakistan is a pariah state which one doesn't need to touch. So this this kind of a propaganda, this kind of a psychological warfare is adequate to break Pakistan. And Pakistan will break. There is no denying the fact, because within Pakistan also there are noises much against the chief of the army staff, even against the Punjabi, the Pakistan army on the back foot in Balochistan, losing over 1,500 troops a year. Not so easy. The Durand line is absolutely volatile. They don't know Taliban, Tehrik-e-Taliban, Pakistan, the Pakistani. They own Fazlur Rahman in the National Assembly stating that there are over 5 and more provinces in Balochistan not flying the Pakistani flag. They are already flying the Balochistan Liberation Army flag. Imagine what's going on. And at this point of time, Pakistan intends to launch an attack on India. What's gone wrong with Pakistan? A country which is economically shattered and doesn't have anything. And over and above, whatever they had loaned, in fact given it to Ukraine. Everybody knows that all the ammunition from there has gone to Ukraine. And in this situation, and even if Turkey has put in a ship over there, it makes no difference whatsoever. Even if China comes up supporting Pakistan, it doesn't make any difference, because what will the Pakistan do? In just about 4 days, it will just collapse. And that collapse will be very, very difficult for Pakistan then to be able to get up. And the Indus Water Treaty in itself, I think the very fact that the visuals that are being shown, they're absolutely dry riverbed where water used to be over 15 feet, absolutely dry bed. Most of your reporters are standing on the riverbed and reporting for what's going on there. So I think at this point of time, Pakistan is on the back foot, but Pakistan needs to be taught a lesson. That it goes beyond it. When, how, in what manner is a different thing. But Pakistan has to be taught a lesson, because enough is enough. Pakistan cannot continue using terrorism as an instrument of state policy. And the world also must understand. There are some countries in the world, this duplicity and double talk not acceptable, wherever it comes from.
Absolutely.
Because there's no question. And I agree with a foreign minister. No, stop preaching. There's no way. You practice.
Absolutely.
We are suffering, and we must stand up to it, and Pakistan must be taught a lesson.
Indeed, and very quickly, if I may, Ambassador Dayal, to you, 3 developments have taken place. 1, Iran's foreign minister visited Pakistan. He will visit India later this week. 2, Russia's president spoke with India's prime minister. Russia says the terrorists and their supporters should be brought to justice. And 3rd, the UN Security Council is to hold a discussion on the India-Pakistan tensions, among others. How do you look at New Delhi's diplomatic outreach in the wake of the Pahalgam attack?
Well, I think Delhi has done a great job in reaching out to other countries and sending across the message to them that Pakistan's mischief is unabating. You know, neither has Pakistan's attitude to India changed from what it was in the beginning, nor has its policy. In fact, we all know that for decades, the Pakistani generals have been saying that they will bleed India by 1,000 cuts. Now, I think the time has come when we must break up Pakistan into 1,000 pieces. Pakistan is facing a lot of internal problems. It is facing dissension. It is facing rebellion from a number of militant groups. And I don't think that Pakistan in its present form will last forever. As it is in 1971, it broke up into Bangladesh. East Pakistan became Bangladesh. And I think that a further breakup of Pakistan is very likely. And that, I think, is going to be the unfolding scenario. Pakistan will pay for its misdemeanors by ceasing to exist as one country. It will break up into several countries.
Ambassador Dayal, General Kulkarni, I'm afraid that's all we have time for. May I thank you for joining us and sharing your thoughts and insights with our viewers at home and abroad. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. In other news, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres strongly condemned the Pahalgam terror attack and civilian deaths, calling for de-escalation, diplomacy and dialogue between India and Pakistan to avoid military confrontation. Guterres said targeting of civilians is unacceptable and those responsible must be brought to justice through credible, lawful means.
Tensions between India and Pakistan are at their highest in years. I deeply respect and I am profoundly grateful to the government of people of both countries and their significant contributions to the work of the United Nations, not least UN peacekeeping. And so it pains me to see relations reaching a boiling point. I understand the raw feelings following the awful terror attack in Pahalgam on 22 April. I once again strongly condemn that attack and extend my condolences to the families of the victims. Targeting civilians is unacceptable, and those responsible must be brought to justice through credible lawful means.
India's Home Ministry has asked several states to conduct a mock drill for effective civil defense on the 7th of May. The following measures will be undertaken. 1. The operationalization of air raid warning sirens. 2. The training of civilians, including students, on civil defense aspects to protect themselves in the event of a hostile attack. 3rd, provision of crash blackout measures. 4th, provision for early camouflaging of vital plants or installations. And 5th, updation of an evacuation plan and its rehearsal. India's Minority Affairs Minister Kiran Rigu is on a visit to Vietnam, where he addressed the Indian community. On this occasion, he said that people around the world, including Buddhists, recognize India as the land of the Buddha, a symbol of knowledge and peace, but not war.
हमने नॉलेज दिया है दुनिया को, हमने दुनिया को क्या नहीं दिया। इसलिए प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने इस बात को यूनाइटेड नेशन में कहा कि हमने दुनिया को बुद्ध दिया है, युद्ध नहीं दिया है। तो इंडियाज मैसेज इज वेरी पावरफुल। तो यहाँ जैसे योगा, जब योग सीखता है तो दे ऑलवेज फील दैट ए योगा इंस्ट्रक्टर मस्ट बी इंडियन, बिकॉज दैट इज ट्रीटेड एज वेरी ऑथेंटिक। भारत से आए हुए कोई मॉन्क नन आएंगे तो उसको देखता कि बहुत ही ऑथेंटिक या भारत देश से आए। तो ये जो लोगों का जो भाव है भारत के प्रति, जो उनका सोच है, वो हम लोग को समझना होगा। तो हम कभी कभी समझते नहीं हैं कि हम कितना किस्मत वाले हैं कि हम भारत जैसे देश का नागरिक हैं।
And now to sports news. In football, Bayern Munich secured their 34th German league title after rivals Bayer Leverkusen were held to a 2-all draw, leaving the leaders with an unassailable 8-point lead with 2 games left to play. Leverkusen needed to win on Sunday to maintain any chance of claiming the Bundesliga title after Bayern drew 3-all at RB Leipzig. The Bavarians will be presented with the league trophy on Saturday in their last home game of the season against Borussia Mönchengladbach. Bundesliga top scorer Harry Kane, who won his first major title at the age of 31, posted a video of himself and teammates singing "We are the champions." Bayern will take part in the new format Club World Cup starting in June in the United States. And in updates from day 1 matches in Kabaddi, football and volleyball at the 7th edition of the Khelo India Youth Games in Bihar. In archery, Maharashtra's Saravri Sinde and Vaishnavi have secured spots in the final in the girls' recurve event. Saravri defeated Haryana's Tamanna in the semi-finals, while Vaishnavi defeated Jharkhand's Tamanna Varma. The mixed doubles elimination rounds will take place on Tuesday. In boys Kabaddi, hosts Bihar outclassed Goa 88-14 in a one-sided affair in their opening match. In girls football, Jharkhand annihilated Rajasthan 8-0 in under-18 event in group stage. In boys volleyball, Rajasthan beat Manipur 3-2 in their group encounter on the opening day. This is the first time that Bihar is hosting the Khelo India Games. Over 8,500 athletes from all states and union territories of the country are participating in this event. Now, sports isn't just about winning medals, it's also about playing fair. While young athletes from across the country are showcasing their talent, the Khelo India Youth Games is raising awareness about fair play and anti-doping practices. DD India's Sushil Kumar reports on how India's anti-doping agency is educating players to ensure a cleaner, drug-free sporting environment.
For the young athletes of the country, the Khelo India platform is not only about sports,
but also brings to light various other aspects related to sports. On this platform, while players are showcasing their sporting talent, awareness campaigns about fair play and anti-doping are also being run. Officials deployed by the National Anti-Doping Agency are providing comprehensive information about doping to players, coaches and support staff so that athletes are well informed about every aspect related to doping.
हमने यहाँ पे एक ऐसा अवेयरनेस बूथ लगाया है, कौन से रूल्स हैं यहाँ पे नाडा इंडिया के, कौन सी मेडिसिन बैन है और कैसे अपनी मेडिसिन को पहचान सकते हैं। अगर किसी खिलाड़ी को कैसी मेडिसिन की रिक्वायरमेंट पड़ती है जो डोपिंग में आती है तो उसके बारे में आप कैसे नाडा से परमिशन ले सकते हैं। कुछ ऐसे एप्लीकेशन है, एक नो योर मेडिसिन एप्लीकेशन, जो इसके बारे में आप खुद इसको डाउनलोड करके अपने मोबाइल में खुद पहचान सकते हो कौन सी मेडिसिन बैन है। बहुत ईजी ऐप है जो गवर्नमेंट इंडिया ने नाडा ने इसको लॉन्च किया है।
At the same time, the athletes participating in the Khelo India Youth Games also believe that NADA's initiative is highly beneficial for them.
ये हमारे लिए बहुत फायदेमंद है क्योंकि इससे हमें पता चलेगा क्या एंटी डोपिंग होता है, ये कैसे काम करता है, इसके नुकसान क्या है, क्या-क्या चीजें एंटी डोपिंग में आती हैं, ये सब हमें ये बताते हैं सर।
Clearly, for any athlete, while the game itself is important, having knowledge about anti-doping policies is equally essential. This ensures not only the development of sports, but also helps in building a clean sports ecosystem in the country. Sushil Kumar's report for DD India, Bihar.
And that's all for this edition of DD India NewsHour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can get the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code now on your screen to download it. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran from all of us here in New Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India NewsHour.